Analyzing criminal justice issues, the forces that shape crime trends. Crime experts have identified a variety of social, economic, personal, and demographic factors that influence crime rate trends. Although crime experts are still uncertain about how these factors affect these trends, directional change seems to be associated with changes in crime rates. Age. Because teenagers have extremely high crime rates, crime experts view changes in the population age distribution as having the greatest influence on crime trends. As a general rule, the crime rate follows the proportion of young males in the population. Kids who commit a lot of crime early in childhood are also likely to continue to commit crime in their adolescence and into adulthood. The more teens in the population, the higher the crime rate. The number of juveniles should be increasing over the next decade, and some crime experts fear that this will signal a return to escalating crime rates. However, the number of senior citizens is also expanding, and their presence in the population may have a moderating effect on crime rates. Seniors do not commit much crime, offsetting the effect of teens. Economy jobs. There is debate over the effect the economy has on crime rates. It seems logical that when the economy turns down, people, especially those who are unemployed, will become more motivated to commit theft crimes. As the economy heats up, crime rates should decline because people can secure good jobs. Why risk crime when there are legitimate opportunities? Recent 2006 research by Thomas Arvanites and Robert Defina found that the crime rate drop in the 1990s could be linked to the strong economy's effect on criminal motivation. However, some criminologists believe that a poor economy may actually help lower crime rates because it limits the opportunity to commit crime. Unemployed parents are at home to supervise children and guard their possessions, and because there is less money to spend, people have fewer valuables worth stealing. Moreover, law-abiding middle-aged workers do not turn to a life of crime when they lose their jobs during an economic downturn. Although the effect of the economy on crime rates is still in question, it is possible that over the long haul, a strong economy will help lower crime rates, whereas long periods of sustained economic weakness and unemployment may eventually lead to increased rates. Crime skyrocketed in the 1930s during the Great Depression. Crime rates fell when the economy surged for almost a decade during the 1990s. Also, economic effects may be very localized. People in one area of the city are doing well, but people living in another part of town may be suffering from unemployment. The economic effect on the crime rates may vary by neighborhood or even by street. Social malaise. As the level of social problems increases, such as single-parent families, dropout rates, racial conflict, and teen pregnancies, do crime rates. Crime rates are correlated with the number of unwed mothers in the population. It is possible that children of unwed mothers need more social services than children in two-parent families. As the number of kids born to single mothers increases, the child welfare system will be taxed and services depleted. The teenage birth rate has trended downward in recent years, and so have crime rates. Racial conflict may also increase crime rates. Areas undergoing racial change, especially those experiencing a migration of minorities into predominantly white neighborhoods, seem prone to significant increases in their crime rate. Whites in these areas may be using violence to protect what they view as their home turf. Racially motivated crimes actually diminish as neighborhoods become more integrated and power struggles are resolved. Abortion. In a controversial work, John J. Donohue III and Stephen D. Levitt found empirical evidence that the recent drop in the crime rate can be attributed to the availability of legalized abortion. In 1973, Roe v. Wade legalized abortion nationwide. Within a few years of Roe v. Wade, more than 1 million abortions were being performed annually, or roughly one abortion for every 3 live births. Donohue and Levitt suggest that the crime rate drop, which began approximately 18 years later in 1991, can be tied to the fact that at that point the first groups of potential offenders affected by the abortion decision began reaching the peak age of criminal activity. The researchers found that states that legalized abortion before the rest of the nation were the first to experience decreasing crime rates, and that states with high abortion rates have seen a greater drop in crime since 1985. According to Donohue and Levitt, if abortion were illegal, crime rates might increase by 10 to 20%. If these estimates are correct, legalized abortion can explain about half of the recent decrease in crime. Guns. The availability of firearms may influence the crime rate, especially the proliferation of weapons in the hands of teens. Surveys of high school students indicate that between 6 and 10% carry guns at least some of the time. Guns also cause escalation in the seriousness of crime. As the number of gun-toting students increases, so does the seriousness of violent crime. A schoolyard fight may well turn into murder. Gangs. Another factor that affects crime rates is the explosive growth in teenage gangs. Surveys indicate that there are about 760,000 gang members in the United States. Boys who are members of gangs are far more likely to possess guns than non-gang members. Criminal activity increases when kids join gangs. Drug use. Some experts tie increases in the violent crime rate between 1980 and 1990 to the crack epidemic, which swept the nation's largest cities, and to drug trafficking gangs that fought over drug turf. These well-armed gangs did not hesitate to use violence to control territory, intimidate rivals, and increase market share. As the crack epidemic has subsided, so has the violence in New York City and other metropolitan areas where crack use was rampant. A sudden increase in drug use, on the other hand, may be a harbinger of future increases in the crime rate. Media. Some experts argue that violent media can influence the direction of crime rates. As the availability of media with a violent theme skyrocketed with the introduction of home video players, DVDs, cable TV, computer and video games, and so on, so did teen violence rates. Watching violence on TV is correlated to aggressive behaviors, especially when viewers have a pre-existing tendency toward crime and violence. Research shows that the more often kids watch TV, the more often they get into violent encounters. Justice policy. Some law enforcement experts have suggested that a reduction in crime rates may be attributed to adding large numbers of police officers and using them in aggressive police practices that target quality of life, crimes such as panhandling, graffiti, petty drug dealing, and loitering. By showing that even the smallest infractions will be dealt with seriously, aggressive police departments may be able to discourage potential criminals from committing more serious crimes. Michael White and his associates have recently shown that cities employing aggressive, focused police work may be able to lower homicide rates in the area. It is also possible that tough laws imposing lengthy prison terms on drug dealers and repeat offenders can affect crime rates. The fear of punishment may inhibit some would-be criminals, and tough laws place a significant number of potentially high-rate offenders behind bars, lowering crime rates. As the nation's prison population has expanded, the crime rate has fallen. Critical thinking. Although crime rates have been declining in the United States, they have been increasing in Europe. Is it possible that factors that correlate with crime rate changes in the United States have little utility in predicting changes in other cultures? What other factors may increase or reduce crime rates? Yes, it's possible that factors correlating with crime rate changes in the United States may not be directly applicable to predicting changes in other cultures due to differences in societal, economic, and cultural contexts. Factors that may influence crime rates include 1. Socioeconomic conditions, poverty, unemployment. 2. Education and job opportunities. 3. Family structure and social support. 4. Law enforcement policies and community engagement. 5. Cultural and societal norms. 6. Economic inequality and access to resources. 7. Mental health and substance abuse support. To understand crime rate changes in different cultures, it's essential to consider the unique context and factors at play in each society.